Welcome to those joining us on the recording afterwards and those that are able to join us in person. If you're out shoveling snow instead of here, I get it. I did that earlier today. Pretty crazy, but we are very happy to have this is our February 1st Manufacturers Council meeting, and very happy to have, I know we had MTC recently talk, but very happy to have new and exciting information to share as well with the partnership with Marion City Schools and a couple other updates here. So quite a few different speakers today, including Ron Iarussi, Superintendent of Marion City Schools, Marsha Pitts, Career Pathway and Testing Supervisor, Marion City Schools, Jason Hoffman, VP and co-owner of Buckeye Educational Systems, Mike White, Director of Business Technology at MTC, Debbie Stark, Dean of Technical and Professional Programs at Marion Technical College, and Diana Hanigan, Nsf Program Coordinator with MTC. And the topics will range from a new industrial maintenance program pathway at Marion City Schools, smart manufacturing at MTC, and upskill incumbent workers through apprenticeships. And I believe I will start us off with Marsha here. I believe Ron, okay, unless Ron would like to kick us off here.
Yeah, I'd be happy to. Thanks, Matt. Turn it over to Marsha here in a minute because she's done most of the work. So I'm just kind of the person to introduce what we've been talking about. And I don't want to go on too long, but basically, through MAWAC, one of the purposes of MAWAC is to have conversations with the business community to figure out what the needs are within the community, and then how our education system, whether it's K-12 or higher ed or career tech, how can we support the needs of the community economically to create a workforce that our business and industry can rely on to get what they need accomplished. I've had some experience with that in my previous life as a career tech superintendent in the Mahoning Valley. Many of the manufacturers there, this goes back 10, 12 years ago, had some of the same concerns that I listened to with the can-do meetings and some of the Chamber of Commerce meetings about really finding a skilled workforce that can come in and handle what the needs are within the community. And there was a group of 5 manufacturers basically that got together and said, we're beating our head up against the wall trying to do the same things and trying to recruit and retain employees without any success. And so they started having conversations about working with the different entities to help provide that workforce and train that workforce, and at least get the awareness out there of what some of those skills and opportunities are, so that we can all work together to create this workforce that we need. And so, Marion City Schools has worked with quite a few different entities, including Marion Tech and Tri-Rivers and OSU Marion and some other of those folks, Jobs and Family Services, really to talk about what some of those needs are. This is one area in industrial maintenance. If you listen to people across the state of Ohio and across the nation, as we continue to automate and things are moving in that direction, I think this is one of the areas that hopefully we can provide some skills with our students early on, as early on as in high school, that will create an awareness of what industrial maintenance is and how important those positions are, and how available those positions are for our students as well. And so we're really excited about these opportunities and where we're headed with it. But I'm gonna go ahead and stop and turn it over and see if Marsha, did I miss anything that you want to add to that before we turn it over to Jason?
No, just, the only thing I would add is just with graduation requirements changing in the state of Ohio and the need for skilled workforce, employment is one of the opportunities that we want to look at for students, not just looking at them getting enrolled in college, but actually graduating with skills that could get them right into the workforce. So I worked with Jason Hoffman, who's going to be presenting about how you get that curriculum and what credential opportunities you could put into a high school setting. So I'm going to turn it over to Jason Hoffman as the Vice President of Buckeye Educational Systems, and he's going to explain how that process would look of getting students what the manufacturers are looking for.
Thank you, both of you. So yeah, my name is Jason Hoffman, and Buckeye Educational Systems, we're a manufacturer's representative. So we represent approximately 44 different manufacturers, that produce curriculum and equipment and training systems that prepare students for the skills that companies are looking for, actually across a lot of different pathways. But obviously today we're going to be focusing on those industrial pathways with what we're discussing in the implementation at Marion Harding High School. The company that we work with that is probably the key in the development of a lot of these industrial training systems is Amatrol. Amatrol has been around since 1965, and they were first a design and manufacturer for industrial automation systems. They then came back and those customers said, well, you're implementing these new automation systems. The problem we have is that we don't have people who know how to run them. And so they, at that point in 1981, started developing these teaching systems that would teach people. And then in turn, that obviously led to, implementing those into colleges and career centers that were, again, working with these companies as well for training up the workforce with that. Amatrol is located in Jeffersonville, Indiana. So, we proudly say made in the USA. It's just across the river from Louisville, Kentucky, when they're only, from Marion, about 3.5 hours, probably 4 hours in that range away. Actually, Marion Tech is taking delivery today of some new Amatrol training systems around process controls and PLCs for the new lab over there as well. So Carrie's actually at Marion Tech today, waiting on a truck or in the process of unloading that truck as we speak in order to kind of as another link. So we create a series of hands-on equipment across the broad range of different things. You can see here, the top was one of our newer systems, which is part of what we're also looking at for Marion Harding, which is our Tabletop Smart Factory. With the development of the new smart manufacturing degree that Marion Tech is in the process of putting together through their grant, it really goes hand in hand with the opportunities that we need to be preparing students for early on to move into these more advanced levels of systems that they have and would have available to them as well. So the top system you can see is actually Clark State is another college that is in the process of developing a smart factory type of a degree as well. And that's similar to the type of system that they're going to be implementing down there as well, that smart factory system. But we don't just build equipment. We really have a major emphasis on curriculum. They have 200 and some employees at Amatrol, and over 50 of them are strictly in the area of the developing of the curriculum. Highly engaging, interactive multimedia, which embeds videos and pictures and animations and a variety of types of things with that. And then we also provide instructor training for everybody, because again, many times we are, they're going to be delivering and teaching programs and skills that they may not have a background in. And so we do provide that support for the instructors as well to make sure that these learning labs are successful. The name, or kind of what we've been throwing around a bit with Marion Harding, is the Industry 4.0 Academy. And I want to explain a little bit. I don't know how many of you know what Industry 4.0 is with that, so I'll give just a brief overview of that. The first industrial revolution is back when we had mechanization. We were moving from an agricultural society to a manufacturing type of a society, or an industrial society. And because we had things like mechanization and steam power and water power, it allowed us to improve the way that we make things. Then in the second industrial revolution was Henry Ford and the assembly line, and that the advent of that was because we now had electrical energy that allowed us to do that. And then the area in the Industry 3.0 was really back in 1969, which is where all of us grew up in through this time. And that's where we started seeing robots and PLCs and automation and PLCs and those types of things controlling those different machines and devices with that. And then today, and as of 2018, we are now into the fourth industrial revolution, which is where we're getting into cloud-based applications, the industrial Internet of Things, data analytics, cyber physical systems, the industrial Internet of Things, and it's all about the collection of that data. And again, I'll jump through some of these, but kind of the highlight of this one, you can see that in 2018, 71% of things were being made by human, 29 by machine. In 2025, that's projected to be 48 and 52. But actually, what we've also have heard recently is because of the pandemic that this has been accelerated as a result of the pandemic. And so, but again, this was a form as of 2018 of what they thought it was going to be with that. So again, we have that process level running and operating of machines that you see down at the bottom. But then now you have this layer of control that sits on top of those systems to allow it to collect the data that's coming off of that. And we collect that data, and then that is sent out to the appropriate departments, whether it be accounting, engineering, quality, or a maintenance department. So now that we're start looking at when we do maintenance or how we do those types of things in those manufacturing facilities. And many of these facilities, they call them dark facilities now because they literally run fully automated and lights literally come on and off as people walk through it because they're mostly machines that are running inside of those facilities. And why companies are doing this, obviously, is to reduce cost and speed operations, improve quality, improve safety. But another reason they're doing it is just, again, a lack of a skilled workforce. That's another side of it. And so the careers that these students are preparing for, many times are careers that don't even exist. In the next 5 years, we're going to see a major change and a shift and in the types of occupations that are going to exist in these companies. And so again, we have to be preparing those students to be ready for whatever those jobs are by giving them these more advanced skills with what they're doing. This is a good example of how we used to do things. And many times we would make decisions based on what had happened, historical data. And then ultimately, we would want to make those decisions and analyze why did it happen. But now through all this data and analytics and the future of where it's going, we're now making decisions about what is about to happen and what can we even do to avoid that from happening in the first place. Because downtime is obviously a major catalyst in why companies are doing these types of things with that. So when we look at the building blocks of Industry 4.0, obviously you have the core. Many manufacturers used to say, well, if you can just give me somebody who can pass a drug test and show up every day, we'll hire them. But unfortunately, that standard has changed as well. They need and expect a higher level of worker as well. And so again, what can we do in order to give students those core systems? And if you kind of think back to the industrial revolutions, the electrical, the mechanical, the tools and different things that we use. And none of this is not like we look at any of these areas and say, well, we don't need that anymore. We still need all of these things. Unfortunately, what we also need is a whole lot more. And so that's kind of the biggest part of what we're trying to do with students is get to them earlier, is to see that this becomes a pathway of learning for their career, for their future. And no matter what level they get to, they're always going to be expected to move further even as they're already in these companies and working in doing that. Building block 3 is their control systems. Again, this is really your Industry 3.0 systems, motor controls, robots, PLCs, VFDs, different things along that lines. And then now we take and add sensors and smart devices and smart data collection systems to that, so that again we can start to do more of that predictive analysis of what's happening or what could happen in these systems. That ultimately now we need people in these centers who understand basic industrial networking, Ethernet, wireless, routers. So the IT worker of the future is also changing. And that's the other advantage with this program that we're putting together, is we're trying to hit a broad range and get students to really understand the range of careers that exist out in the workforce. So the program is set up into a series of courses. They are a semester each. So you can see we have an introduction to systems, introduction to control systems, credentialing, and ultimately leading to the industrial Internet of Things. These we're seeing would be a way of presenting these things to students as early as the 9th and 10th grade. Again, kind of rethinking how we used to think of industrial arts, industrial technology courses in these schools. So it's a series of courses that students would be able to enroll in as early as the 9th grade to really teach them, again, the broad range of careers that exist. One of the really cool things that we have is a series of virtual trainers as well. So even in a time of pandemic, and that we actually have these virtual systems that students can learn and practice on prior to then coming into the lab and doing the hands-on on the actual trainers that would exist within that. And you can see it hits a broad range of areas as well. Again, I'm not going to read these off. We're recording these, and I can make this presentation available to everybody. But just to give you the idea of the types of topics that we would be covering in each one of the courses. Again, I look at these courses as, you know, when you look at like what's at Marion Tech, or you look at what's even like at Tri-Rivers, those courses are a mile wide and 20 miles deep. This program is going to be 20 miles wide and a mile deep, especially at that early stage with it, prior to moving into what they would be able to enroll into at the 11th and 12th grade, into that industrial maintenance specific program that they'll have. So again, this is not about just what is manufacturing or teaching manufacturing. It really is giving them that broad-based exposure to both pre-engineering, STEM, technicians, IT, network security. That's what makes up Industry 4.0. So again, the idea here is that we want students to have opportunities for different pathways. So students coming into this course could actually specialize into some of these types of pathways and not force everybody down just one pathway, but give them that broad exposure to industrial systems operations, industrial maintenance, electrical and mechanical technicians, Industry 4.0, smart factory, even business operations and IT and physical systems as well. So the program at Marion-Harding is it is a fundamentals program leading to those industrial maintenance and industry recognized credentials. And as an example, they already offer a course with MSSC, which is the Manufacturing Skills Standard Council, for the Certified Production Technician, which again is that entry-level operations type of a credential with that. Again, it goes through here, just gives you more of the details of the benefits of that particular credential, of what students can do. Then they'll also be able to get credentials as a part of the new organization called SACA, which is the Smart Automation Certification Alliance. With that, there are 3 levels. There's associate level, specialist level, and then ultimately a professional level. That would be like a university level. The specialist level would be, again, a lot of those would be a career tech level or a community college level with what they would do there. But again, SACA's role is to develop those occupational skills and promote the careers that are in this, but then give the students those credentials that these companies, and there were over 50 different, or over 50 industrial partners that participated in the development of these credentials, over 150 educational members, and now there are 3 states, including Ohio, which as of just a couple of weeks ago, the state of Ohio for next school year added the SACA credentials on to their approved list of credentials for the state of Ohio as well for next school years with that. As a result of SACA, they did do something a little different this year in that they broke their credentials into 2 levels. The silver level is the theoretical level, so the knowledge level of these different areas. But ultimately, and especially as manufacturers, they want to know what students can do. So our goal with the program is always going to be to give students those gold level credentials, which is not only the knowledge of what is needed, but also give them the ability to perform and have those hands-on skills that encompass each one of the different credentials as well. Rockwell Automation came on as a platinum partner of SACA and is using it for certifying their people as well. You can see it's broken into many levels within the whole thing. And so again, we'll be looking at that 9th and 10th grade level, getting those students those associate levels, and then allowing them to move into the more specialist levels as they get into the 11th and 12th grade. And again, just to kind of give you an idea, these are the same. The basic operations is that Industry 4.0 fundamentals course. That associate course is the same as the coursework. So we've aligned it directly with these particular credentials as well. The ones that I have highlighted here in yellow are the ones that were already approved at the state level. So again, they do everything in phases. And so with that, and so the ones that were submitted for and approved are the ones. So again, you say, what can a person do? Again, we'll be focused on mechanical systems, power systems, PLC, automation, those types of things. Again, it's very heavily into those industrial maintenance areas with that. One advantage of the SACA credentials is that they are made up of a series of stackable credentials, so short-term stackable credentials. And from an industry perspective, the idea is that an employee could start on Monday with a 40-hour course and on Friday take a credential test that would then in turn stack onto the next one. So again, just a very common term within the industry credential are these micro credentials and stackable credentials. With that, the other advantage with SACA is that once a school becomes a member, which Marion Harding as well as Marion Tech will be SACA sites, then you offer the credentials for free to your students. So you don't have the cost of them getting those credentials. That's included in just being a member with SACA. So it just breaks down, shows what I talked about with the micro credentials a little bit more. And then at the 11th and 12th grade, the next part of this academy that the students will be able to have that industrial maintenance focus. And with that, we'll be focused on the NIMS industrial technology maintenance credentials. There are 9 different duty areas, and we're going to be covering 6 of those 9, covering mechanical, hydraulic, pneumatic, electrical, electronic, and process control systems. With that, which again does also go hand in hand with what we're currently implementing, the electronic and the process control systems at Marion Tech. We'll have that available that they'd be able to tie into for even things like College Credit Plus, if that's how you guys are able to get that structured. NIMS, again, just a little bit of a background, but again, it is the source for these industrial maintenance standards and certifications, giving students giving them opportunities for these maintenance and electrical and mechanical systems is the focus, but you can see it's made up of and has kind of evolved over time. And this NIMS is not something new. Obviously, they've been around for quite some time. And again, same as we had with the other program, there is a theory component as well as the hands-on component. This breaks down the 9 areas. Again, we'll be focused on areas 2 through 7 in the program at Marion Harding, and also gives you an idea of the amount of hours involved in each one of them as well. And again, goes hand in hand with duty areas 6 and 7 would also be tie into the things that we even are currently putting in over at Marion Tech right now. So again, it's also made up of a series of micro credentials, but the difference with NIMS, this is that level, that middle level credential. So students that come out of these programs with these NIMS credentials, it's the equivalent of having 1 year's worth of work experience as well. So we are giving them that installation and different things along that lines, but we are wanting to focus in on, and I know I'm running over time, so I'm gonna, but again, kind of gives you an idea of the companies that were involved in putting these together. Again, this is not, these are everything that we do, we get it from an industrial perspective, the company perspective as to what these credentials are, these training systems should offer. And this just gives you an example of some of those different companies that have given us that input over the years in order to put these systems together. So there you go. Sorry about that if I went too long, but any questions?
Hey, Jason, this is Gus. Hey, I got a quick question. A lot of the companies you just showed are international companies. How would their Asian and European counterparts view this program compared to the employees that, you know, foreign companies may be hiring?
Ask me that again. So I don't know that I understood what
Well,
you
I
asked.
saw a lot of the companies like Cummins and Rockwell, you know, they're all international companies that have Asian and European affiliates.
Right.
Their HR departments view this training program compared to what they work with at their affiliates in, you know, Asia and Europe. I mean, is this ahead of its times, behind the times, catching up?
Well, as far as we're ahead of our time, I guess you could say, since the fourth industrial revolution is only about a year and a half old right now in that. So we were in the process of putting these together. I agree, a lot of these companies do have a strong international presence, but they are, you know, obviously very heavily in the United States as well in putting that together. So I've not met with each of those HR departments, so it's hard for me, I guess, to speak in that regard as to what they think. But again, all of this was done with their input, you know, with what they required. And many of these companies, like Caterpillar, as an example, you know, have their own industrial training centers. Honda has their own industrial training centers. Rockwell has their own right here in the United States, and even right here in Ohio. So they're the ones who actually put together what these programs needed to be and what the credentials need, and then went through technical reviews to verify the skills and the knowledge of what it is. So I don't know. I hope I answered your question. I don't know if I.
Well, thank you so much, Jason. A lot to cover in a short amount of time. I believe with that, we'll hand it over to Mike. Are you next up?
You say I am.
Okay, you're next up.
All right, give me a second. Let me know if you can see my screen.
We can.
Yes.
Cool. All right. So my name is Mike White. I'm the Director of Business and Information Technology at Marion Tech. I am part of, I'll say, an elite crew of people that are putting together a smart manufacturing degree at Marion Technical College. We were awarded this grant through the National Science Foundation. We just started on this project in October. So what is smart manufacturing? I think you got a pretty good basis of what it was. And so my presentation is going to be kind of a rehash to some degree. So I'll try to make it as entertaining and exciting and informational to you as possible. But just keep in mind that this might be a little bit of a rehash for you. So what is smart manufacturing? It's a combination of information technology, the cloud, which, you know, we talk about the cloud all the time, and it's pretty cloudy outside right now, but that's not the cloud that I'm talking about. I'm talking about the big data and Amazon and web servers and that type of thing. And then manufacturing. It's a combination of those three things into what we would call smart manufacturing, and leads me to this lovely picture of this woman in a looks like a manufacturing plant right now, and looks like she has some kind of VR goggles on her. You're probably wondering why do I have a VR goggle setup going on right now? Well, I was in a presentation probably about a month or so ago, and there was a company using this thing called the Microsoft Hololens. Anybody know what a Microsoft Hololens is? Well, Microsoft HoloLens is basically a thing where you can, it's like virtual reality, but it's augmented reality, which means that instead of just having something shown to you, it will be like in the same room as you. They'll like put a picture of or a hologram of something in front of you, right? So what the HoloLens does in this regard is that you could use the HoloLens to take a video of what you're looking at and project it back at somebody that like an engineer that is, let's just put it this way. You could have a technician down on the floor working on trying to fix something, and it will take what the technician is looking at and project it back to an engineer that might be, let's say, 5,000 miles away, and they'll be able to help troubleshoot what that technician's looking at. And so they were using this at Firestone, and they were doing this during the pandemic because they can't have people, traveling and all that during the pandemic. So they were using that to help do the training and the fixing and the things that you would normally do. And so this is the new phase, one of the new phases of smart manufacturing. So the overview of the project, what we're doing at Marion Tech is we're going to create a smart manufacturing degree and 2 certificate programs at Marion Tech. What that means is we're going to combine our IT and engineering programs together to make a all-inclusive degree. So what's this going to look like when we're done? So in the fall of 2021, we're going to have an electrical engineering smart manufacturing option. So that's going to include 3 different courses that's going to be integrated into our electrical engineering degree. We're going to have a cyber security and networking degree or networking course, a process and controls course, and soon to be a capstone project course. Then we're going to have, later on, we're going to have a hardware certificate and a software certificate. The hardware certificate is going to be dealing with the installation and calibration of equipment. The software certificate is going to be dealing more on the IT side of things. So dealing with IoT, so industrial IIoT, industrial Internet of Things, and big data, and dealing with cybersecurity. Then in 22-23, we're also going to launch our Associate of Applied Science. So the smart manufacturing option in 21 is just going to have a taste of the smart manufacturing degree, whereas the whole Associate of Applied Science is going to be solely based on smart manufacturing. So as you heard, we are getting some new equipment funded by the National Science Foundation. So it's being delivered today, I hear. So that's good. Yeah. So what our plan is we're going to actually unbox and put this equipment together with our students. So our students can have that firsthand experience of actually setting up the lab. So we are actually having to do some reorganization of our current engineering labs to make a new lab. And so this has been a good process for the students to learn on how to set up a lab and set up trainers, etc. So one of the things that we're going to do is we're going to set up a career pathway for our students. So the plan is to do a 2 + 2 + 2. Okay, so what's a 2 + 2 + 2? So a 2 + 2 is generally when you take a 2 years of a high school student's career, you combine it with 2 years of a college career, an associate degree, and then combine it with a 2 years of a bachelor's degree to get a student that has a bachelor's degree in smart manufacturing. On top of that, we're going to have our capstone project where we're going in our associate degree, where we're actually going to be working with industry partners to solve problems with them. So the one thing that I always like to tout Marion Tech for is making sure that our students get hands-on experience. That's one thing, but leaving your education with an experience. I graduated from Ohio State in 2008, which we all know was a great time to try to get a job. 2008 financial crisis, and I had no experience. So trying to find a job was really hard. And so when I came to Marion Tech, I was extremely excited to see that we had internships and co-ops that are part of our degree plans, because students get that extra boost to get them into a career field. Another thing we're going to be working on doing starting this summer is we're going to have a Smart Manufacturing Summit. And so first we're going to start with our high school students and bring them on campus and do kind of like what we did for the manufacturing week on campus, where we had them come and do different activities and experiments and that type of thing. But we're going to base it around smart manufacturing. My thought is working with something like a Raspberry Pi or another cheap costing IT equipment that the students could actually work with on site and then also take it home and be able to work with it as well. Then we're going to take this in the next year and start opening it up to high school teachers and community college partners, so that we can help upskill those workers and have them be trained in some of this stuff. So this is a big screen that I'm not going to read it all, but I'm going to send this out to everybody afterwards, so that you could see kind of how we're going to set up this this pathway and this project. And so you'll see some of our inputs, what we're going to be putting into the project, some of the deliverables, and what we're hoping to get outside from and when we have some students that complete the degree. So I would love to say that this was all me, that I did everything myself, but it's not. And so I included a couple slides on who is part of our project team. You can see Elizabeth here. She's looking fantastic with her silhouette because she does not have a picture yet and for our website. Same could be said for Diana. She'll kill me for saying that. She's on the call. She has her headshot here as well. The big thing for me when we start thinking about smart manufacturing, a couple takeaways that just to add on to what Jason was saying earlier, is talking about sensors and talking about big data and that type of thing, is that we're trying to solve problems before they exist, right? And so one thing that you can do with smart manufacturing with sensors is put it on, let's say that you are working with let's say a beam in a manufacturing plant that's like, it's helping support some kind of infrastructure. You could put some sensors on it so that you can test to make sure that the beam isn't going to break, right? So the sensors are a way that you can ensure that that something won't break before, or see the tension in a certain block or anything like that. It's a way to make sure that you are keeping in the know before something happens. And so that's what one of the things that smart manufacturing is going to try to help you with. All right. What I wanted to do now is pass this over to Debbie. I'll run the show for you, but Debbie will talk, and she will talk about apprenticeships.
Thanks, Mike. I think before I start, I'd like to see if you can use your reaction icon if your video is not up. But how many are familiar with apprenticeships? Okay, those in the Manufacturing Council, I didn't want to reiterate something that you may already, thanks, David. How many actually have an apprenticeship then set up? David, I think you would be the one I would directly ask. Do you have an apprenticeship already set up in your organization? Okay.
Hey, Deb, this is Gus. Something that's always confused me, and we talked about it at the last MAWAC meeting. What's the difference between an apprenticeship, an internship, and a co-op?
Okay.
And a youth apprenticeship as well.
Okay. Today, when I think the best way to explain a co-op and an internship, Gus, and everyone, is that it is generally built into your curriculum and it is for credit. So in other words, towards the end of our students who are going towards their associate degree, in their last year, after they have at least a year of the foundation courses under their belt, they can be placed out into a co-op/internship job. They mean exactly the same thing. It used to be in the past, internships meant that they were non-paid, but in most of the cases, and I would have to say 90%, students find paid jobs. So internship and co-op can be used synonymously. I don't know much about youth internships, Matt, only that probably Tri-Rivers and Harding and those that are getting into these programs will probably have such things. And some of it may also involve job shadowing. So where it's not paid, where it's just a part of the experiential experience of the student. So Mike, go ahead on to the next slide. Let me start you out with just an example then now of what an apprenticeship is. Okay, I just brought a definition off of a site, the registered apprenticeship site. I'll go into that in a moment too. Usually an apprenticeship combines both in-class instruction and on-the-job training. So it is a wonderful way to upskill your incumbent workers, and it's also a great way to recruit if you need employees to come into your manufacturing environment or your company. And they're getting paid, so it's definitely an incentive for them. And in order to become a registered apprenticeship site where you register all of your employees that you wish to put into the program, you will have to follow the steps that the state of Ohio has instituted, and there's always nationally recognized industry credentials that come with it. Next slide, Mike. And here's the advantages. That's why I hated to be reiterative if anyone already had it set up, but it really is a great way to grow your own workforce. It does improve your productivity. You're training them while they're on the job doing actual work. So you're not sending them away somewhere where you lose their employment at the time that they're getting the training. And they learn your own culture and your own values. I think that is very important about apprenticeships. And I'm going to talk about what I call a super apprenticeship that we have in our area in a moment. You train them with those that you wish to choose to do the training. You don't have to hire someone from an organization. It's from your own organization. And it reduces your turnover because most of the time the employees are getting trained, and you may have some conditions where they're going to maintain their employment with you for a while after they have achieved the training advantages and all of the training they've gotten from your company. And there is potential credit that you get. You can get this Workforce Innovation and WIA Opportunity Act credit, and there's also a Work Opportunity Tax credit. Next slide, Mike. So I'm going to just jump ahead and go into one apprenticeship that I think is a great model. Vaughn Industries is in Cary, Ohio, and they have had apprenticeships since 1982. What they've done is they have established 5 separate apprenticeship programs, and it took a while to set all of this up, and I'll give you those resources toward the end. And each one of these then has some sort of industry certification, journeyman licensures, and all of that. They are employees of Vaughn that are in the program. And go ahead to the next slide, Mike. And in addition, I call Vaughn our super apprenticeship program. In addition to all of this benefiting them by producing employees who have the training that they designated, which by the way, that training is in-class hours, remember, and on the job. There is a minimum, I believe, in the apprenticeships where you have to have 144 hours of classroom instruction and 2,000 hours of on-the-job training. And you will design all of that as you set your apprenticeships up. Now, Vaughn Industries have gone a step ahead. In 2007, they formed a partnership with Marion Tech, and we have taken, let's jump ahead one slide, Mike, while I talk. We have taken, for example, if you saw on that list, they have a sheet metal worker, apprenticeship program. So what we helped them do was designate in the 4 years, they have level 1 in the first year, and these classes and on the job training occurs in fall and spring. And then they go to the next level 2, 3, and 4. And after 4 years, they're probably very strong employees of the company, and they also have half of their degree completed. What we did is set this program up with Vaughn, allowing them to tell us what the accomplishments were within each level. It's much like if you're familiar with our Peace Officer Academy. We have to teach the topics that are in the Ohio Peace Officer Training Academy that are designated, but we condense those topics into credit hours. We did the same with the sheet metal worker and all the others at Vaughn. So in the first year, the students are assigned 9 credit hours. In the second year, now they have 18 credit hours that go towards a degree, and on and on. So if they finish the 4 years, they can transition to an Associate of Technical Study degree. You could go back to the previous slide, Mike. Thank you. And they could apply those 36 credit. Well, actually, they could even apply the 9 credit hours if they didn't finish the program. In fact, I have 2 students now. One just graduated with his Associate of Technical Study, and I believe he was an electrical worker. So his degree, and by the way, an Associate of Technical Study, every college, a community college in the state of Ohio, offers this. This means that the degree is not in our catalog, it's a custom degree. So we have the autonomy to create the degree with you. So what we did with Vaughn is that we, for each of their 5 different apprenticeships, they can have an Associate of Technical Study in Engineering / sheet metal worker, an Associate of Technical Study in Engineering / pipe fitter. So it's a customized degree. It'll be very vertical and very niched, you know, where the kinds of jobs they would get, but they go into the job with a degree and all of the industry certifications. So they are very much educated in what we are told all the time. Where are the soft skills? They have the English and the oral communications and the presentation skills and sociology or psychology. So beyond their industry certifications with this degree, pardon me, they come out with a little bit more, I think, employable, work well in the workforce, very team driven, that sort of thing. So that's the advantage of taking this apprenticeship and putting it into a degree. Go ahead. Well, hang on one second, Mike. I just want to mention before I move on that the way that Vaughn set this up back in 1982 all the way forward is through the registered apprenticeship, the Ohio State one. And I'll give you all that information towards the end. And at the end of all of their apprenticeships, there are all kinds of industry recognized credentials that come out of this as well, remember. Okay, now you can go 2 forward, Mike, because we covered this one. Okay. So what they did is they went through the Ohio State Apprenticeship Council, and I put the web address here, and we'll share this also with you, our PowerPoint presentation. This is all of the contact information. Go to the next slide, Mike. But what's really important is that these particular individuals that I've listed on the screen are the Ohio Department of Job and Family Services employees who work with different areas. So Vaughn, for instance, is area A, and they work very closely with Jeanette McLean. And I gave you the web address again here, where you'll see a map of the state of Ohio that will show you how the Ohio Department of Job and Family Services will work with you individually with your apprenticeships. So that's sort of in a nutshell how you can start simply by setting up apprenticeships within your organization, work very closely with whoever your representative might be. And I'm guessing probably it's going to be Jeanette. And you will be working out a lot of the details. This is the most time consuming part, is the number of hours you're going to have them in the classroom and what the topics are, the number of hours that you're going to have them actually on the job, that correlates or collaborates with their in-classroom hours. There's going to be assessment means, tests that they're going to be given. You're going to offer them the ability to sit for these industry credentialing tests and all of that. That is all worked out through Jeanette. And I do want to say that if you have any questions in this application process, Marion Tech at one time used to offer a scholarship to the company to help them set it up. We don't offer that anymore, but we would be happy to be involved to help you set this up. And in particular, then we can move it forward. And if you're interested, take it from a non-credit type of an apprenticeship and put it into something like lawn, which is for credit. And then it can be applied toward these certificates and degrees that are all approved by the Ohio Department of Higher Ed. So I hope that's not too much. Are there any questions? Okay, thanks, Mike. And this is our contact information too for what we've presented to you today. If you have any further questions or want us to work with you in any way, please don't hesitate to reach out to us. What I am going to mention is that Diana Hanigan is putting together a grant kickoff for our NSF grant. It's also going to include a little bit of information about the Rapids grant, where we were able to procure some fantastic equipment, especially in our health areas, like the anatomage table. That is a way without driving a cadaver into the classroom. And we do have an anatomy and physiology lab, what we affectionately call the cadaver lab. This anatomage piece of equipment actually has a body completely in the parts and pieces that you can do digitally to drill down into the inner workings of the heart, for instance. We're going to be featuring a lot of that equipment in this kickoff. Diana is our most recently acquired person. She's our Nsf Program Coordinator. Diana, do you want to just tell them a little bit about this kickoff and what you're trying to do and what it's going to involve virtually? Oh, unmute, Di.
Okay.
There we go.
Planning to have our kickoff on February 23rd. So now that you've heard about the Smart Manufacturing program, just to let you know that it will be virtual, just like this Zoom call, and would welcome anyone in the industry or education areas to join us. So our contact information is there. You can contact me and I'll be happy to get you on the invitation list. That's about it.
Thanks, Diana. Any other questions while we're here?
We have one come in and then I have one, but thank you again to everyone who presented today. Some really exciting stuff for Marion. One of the questions we had is, has there been an exodus of long-term employees from the old manufacturing model as the Industry 4.0 movement has taken over? Is this seen as an opening for a large job market for the younger, or is this seen as a new way to move forward from retraining some of the older workers?
Is anyone here from Whirlpool, by the way?
That could be certainly watching later, but I don't think we have anyone now.
Okay. I asked that because we have a special program with Whirlpool. It's a skills certificate. And what their idea is to take their incumbent employees and train them, give them further skills so that they can advance into those positions that are opening up. And because of our partnership with them, we're probably very involved in that area. Engineering is the second skills certificate that we were supposed to have set up with them last summer. And because of COVID, it keeps getting postponed. But that is their thinking, is to keep upskilling their incumbent employees to fill these positions that are opening up.
And Whirlpool is one of the only, other than MTC and the Marion Fire Department in Marion County, they have 3 separate registered apprenticeships. So within our county, we only have the 3 entities that actually offer registered apprenticeship. But I just wanted to add, you mentioned youth apprenticeship, Matt, which we would refer to as pre-apprenticeship. So the importance of that is anyone who's a registered, you have to be a registered apprenticeship to have pre-apprenticeship. So if high schools are looking for pre-apprenticeship opportunities, we have to actually pair with somebody who has a registered apprenticeship. And the importance of that for companies would be, we would start the pool for you earlier. So it gives you the opportunity, if you have them in a pre-apprenticeship, then you would be looking at who you may want to move into your actual apprenticeship program. But it's not a guarantee, it's just an opportunity for those students. It would mean they would have the opportunity to move into an apprenticeship with a registered apprenticeship.
Specifically, I think to your question in regards to what Industry 4.0 and the you know, where does the pool come from? There is obviously a large retirement pool of people that is coming out of industry right now. There's also an extremely large, I mean, most every company is hiring right now, but they're also losing people. But we also, again, that's why, you know, starting these pathway courses as early as we can to give students those opportunities so that they don't just happen into them, you know, 10 years from now, but actually make it more intentional for them to prepare and to be ready and job ready to go into the jobs that exist, as well as, again, the jobs that with Industry 4.0, you know, those occupations, some of those occupations don't exist yet, but they're coming, and we don't have people to do that yet. So
I'd
Thank
like
you.
to mention, oh, I'm sorry.
No, go Deb, please.
Since Ron is here and Marion City Schools, I would like to mention, I'm sorry, I think it's always, there we go. I'd like to mention that we are looking more closely with our CCP director, Cal Morris, and Ellie Hess to set up more engineering type pathways. I know that Pleasant has a new building coming, and we're looking at how their space can be used for some of the equipment that they may need for the smart manufacturing that's moving forward, and it's the future. They have a great opportunity with that new building and new real estate. But the other thing we're doing is we're looking at more stackable pathways. And by that, I mean that from our perspective, if we have a certificate that is offered out there that's about half of a degree, we have to get special approval through the Higher Learning Commission and through the Ohio Department of Higher Ed and the Department of Ed. What we're doing now is trying to come up with short-term pathways for CCP. And one of them that we're looking at is the Manufacturing Foundation Certificate. So we give them an English and a math, and it can be a technical engineering math. And then we would talk to you about setting up maybe an engineering drawings and diagrams, a CAD class, manufacturing processes, most of which these courses will be transferable, or they could just move right into, say, our mechanical degree. So we're trying to get these pathways so that they and they'll have an industry recognized credential. So we want to work very closely with CCP in the high schools to start this conversation with the freshmen and get it more focused on what our local community needs are and industry partners. So stay tuned.
Deb? Lastly, kind of how does this flow in or connect with what Ramtech and Tribe Rivers have put together? Is it kind of in a similar way, or flowed into kind of what they started here in this area, or how does that work or integrate? Both, I guess, all of the things we mentioned today.
I'm sure there's quite a few people that could answer this question, because there are some significant differences between what Ramtech is offering and some of the things that we are. You know, one of the things I think is important to know is creating the awareness of what is available in manufacturing. I think that, you know, if we think about manufacturing, if we talk to our current students' parents about what their perception of manufacturing is, they're probably going to refer back, you know, to some of the negative things that have gone on where companies have left manufacturing and some of those opportunities that used to exist. These are new opportunities where, you know, that might require some different skills and techniques. So all of these things, I think, also are maybe the unintended consequence of that would be that to create a lot more awareness of what some of these opportunities are within them. So Ramtech is one opportunity for automation, specifically around robotics. That's their major area of focus. I think what we're exploring in industrial maintenance is a more well-rounded background into manufacturing processes to understand how machines work and how they are used in manufacturing. So I think there are definitely a difference between what Ramtech and what Tri-Rivers is offering, as opposed to what we're thinking about here to bring down in Marion City Schools. And I know even at Tri-Rivers, they are actually leaning towards some other opportunities too to prepare students in manufacturing.
When you think about a company that buys a CNC machine, or they buy a robot, or any other kind of a device that they use in manufacturing, a press, you got to think of the number of occupations that exist at that company that support that. It's more than just the person that's standing at the robot or the CNC machine that's pushing the buttons. There's somebody who has to understand it even from a buyer's perspective, and then an engineering perspective, because they've designed the system that needs that robot or needs that CNC machine with that. And so you have a whole set of occupations that exist behind all of those. And so many times it's, we focus in on the one thing, like, we need more CAD people, or we need more robot operators or CNC operators, but we need more people occupationally working in industry. That's ultimately what we need. We need to build the funnel of more people who want to work in the occupation of manufacturing or this industrial sector in general. The variety of jobs and the job that they even get hired in won't be the job that they're going to retire from. It's going to be it's going to become a lifelong learning path for them within this sector. That's what we're really trying to do more than anything, is expose them to that broad range, whether it be at Marion Harding, really, whether it's even what we should be doing specifically at what they do at Tri-Rivers, as well as what Marion Tech is doing with that this is just the very beginning of a student's career. And that these apprenticeships and these skilling up down the road is going to be a lifelong process, the same as we've all had to do in whatever career, in the careers that we've all been in. So I think that's it. That's the biggest message we have to get to students, that this is a career path that you can spend the rest of your life in and have a great job, great retirement, and a great life as a result of it.
Thank you all. I think I can speak for all manufacturers and just thank our educational institutions for always striving to come up with new and exciting ways to partner together and to provide more value and get our skilled workers in place here and keep these students here with our companies locally. So thank you again, and we'll do all we can to help spread this message, which includes, please, if you were a presenter today, if you have material, please get it to us, your PowerPoint presentation, any handouts or slides that you'd like to add to this, and we'll get this out to all of those that are not only on this call, but our entire council and beyond. So we'll share this with as many manufacturers as we have in our database to spread this awesome news that's going on here locally. So thank you again for all of our presenters. Any last minute comments or questions or thoughts? Hearing none, well, we're pretty much on time here. Thank you again for all of our speakers today. And we will hopefully be meeting all again next month and with a new set of speakers. Thank you again. And everyone have a safe day today.
Thank you, Matt. It's nice meeting everyone.
Thank you.